The saddest day in wrestling for me, I don't know, maybe the Owen Hart thing. Maybe that. Because I had never heard of a professional wrestler dying in the ring before.
Oh my God, man. That Owen Hart kept morale up. I mean, Owen Hart is the best, man.
Owen was the one guy that was always pushing back. You know, I don't want to do this angle. I don't want to look like I'm cheating on my wife with Deborah.
One of my best friends in this business, but to see him, you know, walk in a fast food restaurant, get gas in a rent-a-car, deal with people at the rent-a-car counter, at hotels, just day-to-day life, in airports, the genuine integrity that he had.
That night, Kansas City, Missouri.
Hart died in the fall. He's survived by a wife, 2 children. His brother Bret Hart was 33.
Blue Blazer falls 50 feet to his death in a stunt gone wrong. An accident as millions of people watched on television.
The first time I ever considered that wrestling was scripted came on a Monday evening in 1999. At school that day, I heard from a classmate of a tragedy that had occurred the night prior. I didn't believe of the horrific incident at first, especially being so young. It was one of the first times I'd encountered death in such a direct manner. Due to my lack of willingness to believe such a thing could happen in wrestling, my friend implored me to explore the internet for wrestling forums. As soon as I got home, I quickly discovered a dark hole of information I'd previously never thought imaginable. I found pages and pages of tributes discussing the death of Owen Hart at the WWF Over the Edge pay-per-view on the 23rd of May 1999. My tiny mind exploded as I read for hours about Owen Hart's life, his family, and his illustrious wrestling career. I stumbled deeper and saw online commenters discussing Owen Hart's character, his promo technique, and his ability to make his opponents look great in the ring. I saw a transcript which explained Jim Ross's explanation on live television only minutes after Owen's fall. Jim explained that this is not a storyline, this is not part of the show. Me, at 8 years old, the veil of ignorance moved just a minuscule amount as I wondered what good old JR Jim Ross meant. Storyline? What storyline? I was so confused. However, I was instantly distracted by the promise of what seemed like infinite wrestling information on its forums. I fell deeper in love with the history of Owen Hart and felt a real sense of sadness and remorse from the online community for the tragedy that had happened not 24 hours before. In the high-stakes world of professional wrestling, spectacle and danger walk hand in hand, enthralling audiences with their electrifying dance. Yet, on the night of May 23rd, 1999, the line between entertainment and tragedy was crossed in the most heart-wrenching manner. Owen was a beloved member of the Hart family of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. His untimely death not only left a void in the hearts of his fans and family, but also ignited a critical conversation about the safety protocols and the lengths to which sports entertainment might go in the name of spectacle. Owen Hart, often remembered for his humorous personality and technical finesse, once noted, "I don't want to be remembered as a great wrestler. I want to be remembered as a great person who just happened to be a wrestler." His words underscore the dual identity he carried as a performer beloved by audiences and as a man deeply respected by his peers. He had worked hard his whole life and had reached levels of success many could only dream of. Owen was beginning to think more about his personal life and how time on the road and in the ring was keeping him from his loved ones. "When my contract is up, I'm out of wrestling. I've made plans. I've been smart with my fiscal affairs. Financially, I'll be set. I really want to devote a lot of time to my family. I've bought some property on a lake. I plan on doing a lot of boating and fishing. I want to continue to stay in shape. And who knows, I might do 10 weeks a year in Japan. Something just to motivate me to keep in shape, keep involved a little bit, but not have to deal with the politics, pressures that are so intense right now." However, that dream of retirement would never come to pass. On that fateful night, as Hart prepared for an aerial stunt that would see him descend into the ring, clad in his blue blazer superhero costume, horror-struck, The equipment malfunctioned and Hart fell tragically, an event witnessed live by an arena full of fans. The broadcast play-by-play announcer Jim Ross solemnly informed television viewers, "This is not part of the entertainment tonight. This is as real can be here." This statement, raw and direct, captured the grave reality of the situation, piercing the veil of wrestling's staged theatrics. In the wake of the accident, Vince McMahon, the CEO of WWE, faced intense scrutiny. His decision to continue the event after the incident drew widespread criticism and debate. McMahon later defended his decision, stating, "The decision was made in what we thought was the best interest of everyone, including the performers and the fans." This video sets the stage for an exploration into the complexities of Owen Hart's death and its aftermath. It delves into the legacy left by Hart, the wrestling industry's responses and reforms regarding safety, and the ongoing dialogue about the balance between entertainment and the well-being of its performers. Through this tragic event, the indelible mark left by Owen Hart on wrestling continues to resonate, prompting reflections on risk, responsibility, and remembrance in the high-stakes world of professional wrestling.
And indeed, tragedy in the ring tonight in the world of pro wrestling. A form of entertainment which is known for its fantastic fiction is now experiencing horrific nonfiction. WWF wrestler Owen Hart, known professionally as the Blue Blazer, died tonight in Kansas City when he fell 50 feet into the ring as he was being lowered from the ceiling at Kemper Arena. The fall occurred in an event called Over the Edge, which was being televised to a pay-per-view audience. The 33-year-old Hart given immediate CPR by paramedics as a stunned crowd watched in horror, realizing that something had terribly gone wrong.
In Kansas City, Missouri, the WWF were running through their usual smooth operations of what, at the time, seemed like another evening of hard-hitting action and over-the-top personalities. Little more than what fans had come to expect at the time. By the time the event was over, the fans in attendance and at home, the WWF staff and all of the wrestlers were involved in a moment that none will soon forget. One which will live in infamy for all of pro wrestling's existence.
It's our top story at 11. A former World Wrestling Federation champ is dead tonight. Once king of the ring, Owen Hart fell from the ceiling during an event in Kansas City. The audience at first thought it was a stunt. Millions of fans were tuned in on pay-per-view TV.
As the night rolled on, time came for the Intercontinental title match between the Godfather and Owen Hart's character, the Blue Blazer. To make an impactful entrance, Owen was set to glide to the ring on a harness connected to a long grapple line, his cape flying in the wind as this comedic superhero drew the attention of all in attendance. The lights of uncountable camera flashes reflect off of the glittering Blue Blazer's outfit and alight the arena, with fans capturing a moment in history. As Owen Hart was lowering towards the ring, his harness catch released and he became unhooked from the supporting cable. As fans watched on in horror, the unthinkable happened, Owen plummeting towards the top rope from almost 80 feet above the ring and springing back onto the canvas. The atmosphere that fell over the arena as WWF cut the lights must have been sickening. Fans at home watching live were still unaware of the incident, WWF playing a pre-taped vignette as the feed had enough of a time delay for the production team to hide the horrors which were unfolding in front of them.
I think everybody was trying to figure out whether it was part of the act or not. And I think until the end, people still didn't know for sure.
WWF then cut only to shots of the crowd to allow time for the situation to be dealt with. Controversially, so as to be able to let the show continue. Controversial in hindsight perhaps, but at the time, WWF had no idea what was happening and how things would play out over the next 30 minutes.
Right before we were going to walk out, I just heard them screaming, saying it's not a fake, get a real EMT back here. He's not breathing, the ripcord broke or something, I don't know. And they rushed him back. He was blue in the face and they just rushed him out.
Fans in the arena, however, were left initially in the dark as WWF turned off the lights and played the television vignette on the large screens to try and draw attention away from Owen Hart.
It was like a rope broke or something.
Did it look like he got hurt really bad when he hit?
Oh yeah, you could tell. My aunt, she wrestles, and she said that she thought he was dead when he hit.
Who was now laying prone in the ring, flat on his back, with swarms of medical staff and other WWF employees rushing to his aid. As Jim Ross continued to reiterate the magnitude of the incident to fans at home, the real tragedy unfolded at the nearby Truman Medical Center, where, after several valiant attempts to resuscitate and revive Owen Hart, he sadly died due to internal bleeding caused by blunt force trauma. Truly, one of the most hard-hitting and emotional moments of all of pro wrestling history for so many fans and those employed in the business alike. The next night, Raw is Owen aired, a tribute episode of Monday Night Raw from the Kill Center in St. Louis. The broadcast began with all of the WWF staff, medical team, wrestlers and bookers out on the entrance ramp with Howard Finkel calling for a 10-bell salute, the traditional way in which wrestling has paid respect to fallen performers throughout its history. As the last bell tolled on the life of Owen Hart, the screen cut to a video package of his career highlights, his 2 runs as Intercontinental Champion, 1 reign as European Champion, his time as part of the Tag Team Champions, and his victory of the King of the Ring title. One of the more heart-wrenching moments occurred when Mark Henry read aloud his poem in dedication to Owen, visibly distraught as he held back floods of tears, Mark Henry conveying emotions so deeply felt by those around him. All of the WWF staff were given the choice of continuing working that show, with Vince McMahon recognising the emotional toll Owen Hart's death had taken on his employees.
We in the World Wrestling Federation are saddened by the tragic accident that occurred here tonight. And we send our condolences and sympathy to Owen Hart's family.
Monday Night Raw continued in part as usual with 10 matches on the night, but a less rehearsed, less scripted feel to the fights, as all storylines were halted for the evening. The programme features interviews that were not shot in the usual high-energy fashion, with Mick Foley solemnly stepping out of character, visibly shattered by the loss of his friend, explaining how Owen Hart was Mick Foley's son's favourite wrestler and how his son had been so proud to receive a haircut similar to that of his idol. Bradshaw spoke openly about the locker room's affection for their lost brother. Bradshaw mentioned how Owen Hart was one of the least flashy wrestlers outside of the ring, where Hart rarely afforded himself the luxuries that many others with similar bank accounts in wrestling would have, in order to save for his retirement and life with his wife and children. This one really hits home and humanises the incident further. It's so sad to think about what could have been for Owen and his family if things had played out in a less cruel manner. Many others paid tribute to the iconic figure on that show, including Val Venus, Test, and The Rock. When Jeff Jarrett defeated Godfather for the Intercontinental title, the arena filled with claps and shouts of respect, with Jeff Jarrett screaming Owen Hart's name whilst holding aloft the title. Raw went off the air following a salute from then backstage leader Stone Cold Steve Austin, who smashed a few cans of beers for Owen and, in a cathartic moment for all involved, left one last beer in the ring.
He was such a beloved guy. Yeah. Legit. Didn't have an enemy in the world. Really talented guy, but if he had no talent, it would have mattered. He's a really beloved guy.
In compiling the quotes and reflections on Owen Hart's death and legacy from fellow wrestlers, family and friends, a clear image of respect and affection emerges. Here's a compilation of quotes from other wrestlers, his friends and family, celebrating his life and impact. Bret Hart, Owen's brother, encapsulates the deep personal loss felt by those close to Owen, expressing how much he misses him and his commitment to preserving Owen's memory. Bret's tweet reflects this sentiment. "I miss you every day, Owen, and I vow to keep your memory alive despite the efforts to let you fade away." Jim Ross, famed wrestling commentator, praises Owen's dual excellence in athleticism and character. "Owen Hart will always be one of my favourite wrestlers for a variety of reasons. There was really nothing that he couldn't do. the only person in my entire career that I've never heard anyone say a negative word about.
Oh my God, man. That Owen Hart kept morale up. I mean, Owen Hart is the best, man. I swear to God, I used to love to come to work just because Owen was going to be there, and you know he was going to be doing something crazy.
Ken Shamrock, another wrestling legend, shared his disbelief and sorrow on the anniversary of Owen's death. I can't believe it's been 19 years, remembering Owen Hart today, showcasing the lasting impact Owen had on his peers. Natalya Neidhart, Owen's niece and current WWE superstar, also pays homage to her uncle, emphasizing his enduring presence in their lives. 20 years you've been missed. We love you, King of Hearts. Mark Henry shared how Owen influenced him personally and professionally, helping him navigate the challenges of the wrestling industry with kindness and professionalism. Then, I started meeting people like Owen, and those were the guys that were like, hey, this is the way you need to be. In the weeks that followed, online forums and newsrooms were alight with controversy over the manner in which the events had unfolded leading up to Owen Hart's death. The speculation revolved around WWF's use of a less safe version of the harness and cable which Hart was using at the time.
Why didn't you tell the live audience? Jim Ross came on and very eloquently and I think very appropriately told the audience watching at home via pay-per-view that Owen Hart had died. Yet the people in Kansas City, Missouri at the arena didn't know that. Why didn't you tell them?
Well, my guts were telling me, don't announce to the live audience that Owen passed away. And I don't exactly know why, really, other than the fact that I don't know that it's necessarily fair for someone who was there to have that announcement. They were going to find out for sure, as everyone else in the world found out in due time. Was it appropriate at that time to announce after the event was over, oh, by the way, Owen passed away? That doesn't seem right to me. I don't know what would have happened to the audience. I don't know how they would have felt. I don't know what they would have done, whether or not there could have been any panic or what have you. I don't know. It just seemed not to be the right thing to do to announce to the live audience that Owen had passed away.
In the shadowy corridors of wrestling's backstage politics, the tale of Owen Hart's tumultuous final years in the WWF is tinged with intrigue and hidden agendas. After the infamous Montreal Screwjob, a match manipulated to strip Bret Hart of his championship without his consent, Owen found himself ensnared in a web of contractual disputes and familial loyalty, while fellow wrestlers Jim Neidhart and Davey Boy Smith sought their own escapes from WWF, with Davey Boy purportedly paying a hefty $100,000 ransom for his freedom. Owen's attempts to flee were thwarted. Vince McMahon, the puppet master behind WWF's grand stage, allegedly refused Owen's release, instead silencing his discontent with a raise from $300,000 to $400,000 a year. The plot thickens as the Hart brothers, Bret and Owen, orchestrated a storyline to manipulate McMahon. Owen claimed that Bret would disown him if he remained in WWF, a narrative both brothers supposedly crafted together. Yet, whispers within the Hart family tell a different tale. Bruce Hart, another brother, insists that the estrangement between Bret and Owen was real and irreparable, a rift that remained unbridged until Owen's tragic death. Martha Hart, Owen's widow, paints a picture of a man caught in a psychological trap, disillusioned and disheartened after his brother Bret's departure from WWF. Despite expressing reservations to his colleagues, voicing a premonition of unease about the stunt, Owen reluctantly agreed to the dangerous performance. The mysteries surrounding Owen Hart's final years in WWF weave a narrative of manipulation, familial discord, and a wrestler's struggle against the controlling machinations of a powerful entertainment empire. It leaves one pondering what unseen forces and concealed motives were truly at play in the tragic saga of Owen Hart.
This idea was taken to him and it was suggested that he come out of the ceiling. And I know there was a bit of a discomfort about the danger in it, but somehow over the weekend he got sort of talked into doing it again.
As part of Owen's Blue Blazer character, the performer wanted to move away from the ultra-serious, straight-faced Owen Hart and move towards the entertainment potential of a comedy-styled superhero. Vince McMahon had a marketing idea. Now, it's getting that they have so many guys that do the high-flying and stuff, but When I came into the WWF, the first thing I really didn't want to have been Bret Hart's little brother. He thought, Owen Hart, he's got a lot of ability, a lot of acrobatic maneuvers, young, and they thought they could market me as a Mighty Mouse, Superman kind of character that was young and fighting evil, justice prevailing, but was doing all this high-flying acrobatic stuff that was entertaining. So they came up with the idea. It was not a big priority to them. Well, whatever, get a costume put together. They said they wanted a lot of feathers, glitter, colourful colours. So I had a lady here in Calgary make it. She just kind of put together what I had in mind. Then I took it to Vince McMahon and said, this is what they made me. He said, all right, we're going to call you the Blue Blazer. And now, if I was doing things different, I would have had a sleeker, more dynamic costume. Feathers aren't rugged. The sick-looking chicken they had as an emblem or logo was kind of weak. It was Vince McMahon's idea, and a lady here incorporated the design, style, and all I had to do was go out and perform. One of the hardest things was doing those backflips, where you had to jump up and land on the top rope. It's precision movement. To execute that night after night for 3 years, and you're under a microscope. You're Bret Hart's little brother. Everyone wants to see if you're going to make it. I managed to sustain myself, do everything right, and keep my feet on the ground, weather the storm when the Blue Blazer finally gets to unveil the mask and become who I really wanted to become. Prior to the event, Owen Hart had played with the formula of a wrestler being repelled towards the ring from the rafters, when he would be a few feet from the ground, releasing his safety catch and purposely falling flat on his face, drawing laughs and applause from the crowd.
As a son of a wrestler and then growing up to be a wrestler in a profession where you knew it was never real, but to everyone else that talks to you, it is real. I can sort of say like Batman almost. You put the costume on, you go out and you do the whole thing, and then you come back and you're Bruce Wayne.
WWF and Hart had tried and tested the stunt, and it had proved effective at garnering their required response from the crowd at house shows. However, in order to facilitate the maneuver, a different, less safe latch had to be used for the quick release, and without a secondary safety cable, which was the standard at the time. For a month, the accusations flew at WWF and their backroom staff until the Hart family filed a formal lawsuit against the entertainment behemoth, as well as the manufacturer of the harness and cable equipment, stating how dangerous and needless the stunt was, as well as arguing that the necessary safety checks and requirements were not in place, directly leading to Owen Hart's demise. The tragic death of Owen Hart during a WWE event in 1999 sparked significant discussions and investigations into the safety protocols that were in place and what could have been done differently to prevent such a catastrophe. This essay explores the various dimensions of safety, response, and ethical considerations surrounding the incident and how improvements could potentially have changed the outcome. First and foremost, the primary factor in Owen Hart's death was the malfunction of the equipment used to lower him into the ring. Reports indicated that the harness system used was not designed for the stunt being performed. The quick release mechanism, meant for sailboat racing, was ill-suited for suspending a human above a crowded arena. A more suitable harness system, designed specifically for aerial stunts, featuring redundant safety measures and fail-safes, could have prevented the accident. The selection of equipment should have involved rigorous testing and approval by experienced stunt coordinators and safety engineers. Regular safety drills and checks could have identified potential malfunctions or misuse of the equipment. Enhanced safety protocols, including secondary support systems, would have been crucial. Using harnesses with multiple points of release control inaccessible to the performer during the stunt could have been a critical preventive measure. Once the accident occurred, the immediate medical response was another critical factor. Reports from the event suggest that medical personnel attended to Hart within moments of his fall, and he was transported to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. However, the promptness and efficiency of the medical response in such scenarios are paramount. Pre-event emergency drills specific to the venue and event type could have ensured a quicker, more coordinated response. Communication protocols should have been established and practiced, including direct lines to local emergency services and on-site medical staff trained specifically for high-risk entertainment events. From a moral standpoint, there are significant questions about the decision to continue the event after such a severe accident. This decision may have impacted the emotional and psychological state of the performers and potentially affected the quality of care Owen Hart received. A more morally sound approach would have been to halt further proceedings to focus entirely on the emergency at hand, providing clear access and full attention to the crisis from all event personnel. Furthermore, ensuring that all performers are fully briefed on the safety aspects of their performances, including the risks and emergency procedures, is not just a safety measure, but a moral obligation. Wrestlers and performers should have the right to refuse participation in stunts they deem unsafe, or for which they feel inadequately prepared or informed. Owen Hart's death was a devastating reminder of the importance of stringent safety measures in professional wrestling and entertainment at large. It highlighted the need for industry-wide standards in equipment use, emergency preparedness, and ethical decision-making regarding performer safety. Ensuring that these systems are in place and rigorously adhered to is essential not only for the safety of the performers, but also for the integrity and sustainability of the sporting and entertainment industries. Preventing such tragedies in the future requires a commitment to continuous improvement in safety protocols and a steadfast moral compass guiding all decisions. The legal aftermath of Owen Hart's death was a complex and multifaceted battle that had significant implications for WWE and the Hart family. Following the tragic accident during a WWE pay-per-view event in 1999, where Owen Hart fell to his death due to equipment failure, his widow, Martha Hart, initiated legal action against WWE. Martha Hart filed a wrongful death lawsuit against WWE, alleging that the company had been grossly negligent. The lawsuit emphasized that the rigging equipment used for Owen's stunt was handled by personnel who were not adequately qualified, and the safety measures in place were insufficient. The case pointed out serious lapses in WWE's oversight of the stunt's execution, including the claim that the quick release mechanism was inherently dangerous, and that Owen Hart was not properly trained to use it. In a significant legal countermove, WWE responded by suing Martha Hart for breach of contract. WWE's lawsuit was primarily aimed at moving the jurisdiction of the case from Missouri to Connecticut. Connecticut laws regarding punitive damages and contractual disputes were seen as more favorable to WWE. This legal strategy was indicative of WWE's approach to managing the lawsuit, attempting to limit potential liabilities and control the narrative around the case. The jurisdictional battle was a critical aspect of the legal proceedings. Missouri, where the accident occurred, allowed for punitive damages, which could potentially lead to a larger financial penalty for WWE. In contrast, Connecticut, where WWE is headquartered, did not allow for punitive damages under the same circumstances. This move by WWE to change the jurisdiction was seen as an attempt to mitigate the financial impact of the lawsuit. The legal battle culminated in a settlement in 2000, where WWE agreed to pay $18 million to Martha Hart. The settlement ended the wrongful death lawsuit, but left many questions unanswered about the responsibility and safety protocols in professional wrestling. Martha Hart's public statements after the settlement expressed a deep dissatisfaction with how WWE handled the situation, both legally and ethically. Throughout these legal proceedings, the case highlighted the often contentious relationship between individual wrestlers and the larger wrestling corporations that manage the sport. The legal strategies employed by WWE, including jurisdictional challenges and counter-lawsuits, illustrate the complex dynamics at play when such tragic incidents lead to public and legal scrutiny. The Owen Hart case remains a significant point of reference in discussions about wrestler safety, corporate responsibility, and the legal frameworks governing entertainment sports. On November 2nd, 2000, after a year and a half in and out of courtrooms, WWF settled with the Hart family, being paid $18 million, whilst also dropping the lawsuit against the equipment manufacturer. On November 2nd, 2000, after a year and a half in and out of courtrooms, WWF settled with the Hart family, being paid $18 million, whilst also dropping the lawsuit against the equipment manufacturer. Owen was the youngest of 12 siblings and evidently left an enormous hole in the Hart family. His most famous sibling was Bret Hart, who on the DVD Bret Hitman Hart spoke about his regret in not being with Owen before he performed the stunt, stating that he would have tried his best to stop Owen from making this ill-fated decision. As is understandable with such a horrific event, the Hart family have held bitter feelings towards WWE since, disagreeing with the company's decision to continue the Over the Edge pay-per-view in wake of what had happened. Owen Hart's widow is also a target for controversy, as she has made the decision as owner of the rights to Owen's career to sue WWE for its use of his televised performances.
It's a poorly done DVD because of all the restraints and the limitations that Martha put on it, and to me that's such a lousy thing to have happen. That Martha, I think Owen would turn in his grave if he knew how much trouble Martha's gone to erase his career and to make sure that nobody enjoys anything about his career today. It's a bitterness and a selfishness that I can't stand by anymore.
Something which Bret Hart staunchly disagrees with, siding with WWE in his ideas on how Owen's matches and screen time should be available for all to watch and relive their fond memories, not held in an archive as Martha Hart would seemingly like. In an interview with CBS Sports, Bret Hart explained, "I think she's done more to erase my brother Owen's memory than she ever did to remember him." Martha Hart has since stated, "With Bret, what happened was, throughout the lawsuit he was very supportive, but he was battling at the time with Vince. And so he wanted us to include his footage in our settlement agreement. So he didn't have access to his wrestling footage because Vince, so he had this agenda that's what he wanted included in our settlement agreement. He was helping me, but I had to say to him, this isn't about your wrestling footage. But when we weren't able to obtain that for him, he got very angry, and that's when he then went back and confronted Vince McMahon and then got his footage and stuff like that. So that was disappointing for me, and that sort of created a rift between us. But then he seemed to really flip-flop, and he really embraced Vince all of a sudden. And then he was disrespecting me, and before he sort of hated Vince McMahon. And then he turned that hate towards me, and then he was saying things all the time in the media about me disrespecting Owen's memory, and that I hadn't done anything that I should let him be in the WWE Hall of Fame." In reference to his brother's widow, "It really bothers me," Bret remarked, "that the fans that love Owen so much don't get a chance to remember him."
At this point in time, because after Owen's passing, the Hart's so much tumultuousness and craziness, do you have any relationship with the family at all now?
Unfortunately, I don't, and that's really unfortunate. But I mean, I don't know if people are really aware of everything that's sort of transpired.
Sure, of
my
course.
lawsuit, but the family, they weren't that supportive of my lawsuit against WWE, and the worst part of it was that some of the family actively worked against me, and then other ones just remained silent, and that was almost as hard as the ones that worked against me. So it really, when you break the trust, and I felt really betrayed and sort of left alone and without any support, then, although I've forgiven them and I'm totally, past that, and I wish them well, and trust me, like, my life hasn't been easy, and I certainly wouldn't wish, harm on anybody. I hope life has been kind to all. But, some things, the damage is done.
Martha used a large chunk of the money received from the lawsuit settlement with WWE to found a charity in Owen Hart's name, which aims to help students from low-income families with tuition fees, book purchases, and other bills that are incurred.
Go back to school can be an expensive time for parents, and one local charity is looking to help lighten the burden. The Owen Hart Foundation has teamed up with the Calgary Police Youth Foundation to provide 725 backpacks to families in need. Volunteers spending Saturday filling the backpacks with school supplies and other items like toothbrushes and snacks. In total, 850 bags were handed out. A local recovery.
Another way in which Owen's legacy lives on beyond his death is with the creation of the Owen Hart Foundation. Martha used a large chunk of the money received from the lawsuit settlement with WWE to found a charity in Owen Hart's name, which aims to help students from low-income families with tuition fees, book purchases, and other bills that are incurred. In the Foundation's own words, supporting local, national, and international communities through scholarships, housing, and partnership programs. On the website, Martha explains better than I ever could the immense and far-reaching benefits of the Owen Hart Foundation so far. On May 23rd, 1999, my husband, Owen Hart, died violently and tragically after falling 8 stories from the top of Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri, as the result of a wrestling stunt gone horribly wrong. Owen's death made no sense to me and threw me into a world of darkness. It was so preventable and so unnecessary. Questions haunted my mind. Why did this happen to him, to me, and to our children? My answer came one day like a flash of light in the form of the Owen Hart Foundation. I believed that if I could help others in Owen's name, it would give meaning to his death. To me, that meant he did not die in vain. I established the Owen Hart Foundation in his memory in December 2000. Building this meaningful tribute to my husband and our children has given me strength and saved me from despair over his death. The Owen Hart Foundation is a permanent legacy that is in place to help people today and for generations to come. Owen was a practical man of profound integrity, a wonderful husband and devoted father. He would be extremely proud of the good work carried out by the Foundation and would be honoured to be remembered for what he loved best, which was his sincere kindness to all people. The charity has grown enormously over the past 2 decades, now working to promote events with the likes of Jerry Seinfeld, Seth Meyers and Elvis Costello, running food banks and drives across Canada, delivery foreign aid to over 10 different countries every year, amongst a host of other selfless and admirable actions which seek to make the world a slightly better place.
It's CTV News, Calgary. A local organization is helping kids get back to school on the right foot. Volunteers are busy filling hundreds of backpacks as part of the annual Owen Hart Foundation giveaway for the community. This year, 850 backpacks are being filled with stationery and items needed for learning. Backpacks will go to 9 community agencies and schools to help out students in need.
The economy isn't doing well. Ever since COVID hit, people are struggling, families are struggling. So the Owen Hart Foundation wants to be that organization to step in and say, we're here to help you.
The Owen Hart Foundation still needs an additional 300 stuffed animals for kids in need. Those can be dropped off anytime at Trapped Escape Room. If you want to help with the cause, you can go to theowenfoundation.org.
The Owen Hart Foundation Tournament will go down as the most important tournament in all of AEW.
Tony Khan and AEW have worked with the charity in the form of the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament. All Elite Wrestling's Owen Hart-themed tournament showcases an intricate structure and a broad array of talent, contributing significantly to the sporting spectacle. Held annually, the tournament includes both a men's and a women's bracket, with each featuring several rounds that culminate in a final match to decide the winners. The tournament follows a single elimination format where wrestlers compete in one-on-one matches and the loser of each match is immediately eliminated from the tournament. The competition progresses through several stages, including quarterfinals, semi-finals and finals, typically conducted over multiple episodes of AEW's weekly shows such as Dynamite and Collision. The finals of both the men's and women's tournaments are held at a major AEW event, providing a climactic end to the competition. In the men's bracket for 2023, notable participants included CM Punk, Ricky Starks, Samoa Joe, and Satoshi Kojima, showcasing a blend of seasoned veterans and rising stars within AEW. The finals saw Ricky Starks triumph over CM Punk in a closely contested match that ended with a clever yet controversial pin, with Starks using the ropes for leverage. The women's bracket featured competitors like Willow Nightingale, Ruby Soho, and Britt Baker, among others. Willow Nightingale emerged victorious in the finals against Ruby Soho, marking a significant achievement in her wrestling career. The match between Ricky Starks and CM Punk was particularly dramatic, featuring a series of near falls and submission attempts that kept the audience on the edge of their seats. Stark's victory was notable not only for the match's intensity, but also for the manner in which he secured the win, leading to discussions about his character's alignment between face and heel within AEW's storyline. Willow Nightingale's path to victory included impressive performances throughout the tournament, culminating in a final match against Ruby Soho, which was well received by fans for its athleticism and storytelling. The Owen Hart Foundation tournament in AEW serves as a vibrant tribute to Owen Hart's legacy, blending intense wrestling action with deep storytelling elements. Each year, it brings together top wrestling talent to compete in his memory, highlighting both the entertainment value of wrestling and its capacity to honour past legends. A fitting tribute to a man who spent his whole life, even if in a very different way, attempting to make all of our lives slightly better through the joys of pro wrestling. The untimely death of Owen Hart has rippled through the wrestling world, leaving an indelible mark on fans, colleagues, and particularly his brother, Bret Hart.
No one knows Owen better than, say, I do, I don't think, in my family. And I speak as well or best for Owen when I say that Owen would not have wanted the show to go on. I don't think if you look at anyone with any common sense in their family, no one would want the show to go on. And I think if Vince McMahon had dropped Shane McMahon from the ceiling and he splatted on the mat, I don't think he would have scraped him off the mat and sent the next match out.
The tragedy has played out not just as a private loss, but as a public spectacle, with profound effects on Bret's life, his views on wrestling, and his relationship with WWE. On that fateful morning, when Bret arrived at the Hart House, he entered a scene swarming with press and reporters. Despite the chaos, a moment of bittersweet humour emerged when the family dog, Luna, greeted him, an interaction that Owen, known for his humour, would have appreciated. This moment of lightness briefly pierced the sombre atmosphere, recalling memories of simpler times with Owen and their brother Dean. As Bret continued to navigate the aftermath of Owen's death, he found Martha, Owen's wife, in a surprising state of composure, already discussing legal strategies. It struck Bret how, during Owen's final moments, life at home was moving towards future dreams, now shattered. This juxtaposition of life and death, of moving forward and being pulled back, was poignant. Watching Davey Boy Smith address the media on television, claiming the incident was a terrible accident and prematurely dismissing any culpability before a thorough investigation, infuriated Bret. He felt it trivialized the gravity of the event and the need for accountability. Shortly thereafter, Bret himself faced the media from his father Stu's living room, emphasizing the need for a wrestlers' union to delineate clearly between wrestling and stunt work, an initiative that might have saved his brother. Martha's request for Bret to handle media inquiries during this time led him to deeply introspective moments, especially poignant when Owen's body was returned home. At the viewing, the chilling reality of touching Owen's cold, lifeless body, a stark contrast to the warm, vibrant brother he knew, left Bret reeling in a torrent of grief and disbelief. In the days following, Vince McMahon's attempts to reach out to Bret through voicemails were met with silence. Bret was determined not to engage until he understood Vince's role in the tragedy fully. When they finally spoke, the encounter was laden with tension. Bret learned that Vince had taken precautions against potential aggression from him, including surveillance and a wire. Despite these measures, the conversation that unfolded was a painful exchange about loss, regret, and the unresolved issues stemming from past conflicts, including the infamous Montreal screw job.
My brother Owen was talked into doing a stunt where they wanted to be released from a top of the ceiling in the Kemper Arena in Kansas City. They dropped him 78 feet to his death with no safety cables or anything. He died in the ring, and it's so unlike him. I've always wanted to go, what the hell were you thinking about when you did that, you know? Where was I?
Vince expressed remorse not just for Owen's death, but for past grievances, even offering Bret a return to WWF with promises of regained glory. However, Bret, still reeling from the loss and the betrayal, declined. His request to Vince during this conversation to have access to his video library was a plea to preserve his professional legacy, a legacy now overshadowed by personal tragedy. The days surrounding the funeral were a blur of emotions, with various reactions from the Hart family. Bruce Hart revealed that figures like Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho came to the Hart House to support the family, a testament to Owen's impact and the community's respect. Yet, the evening before the funeral brought a shocking claim from Bret to Bruce, a suspicion of deliberate harm by Vince as retribution for past conflicts, adding a layer of conspiracy to the already heavy atmosphere. Since Owen's death, Bret has been vocal about the minimal acknowledgement of Owen's wrestling prowess in WWE's official records. Despite Owen's stellar in-ring capabilities and significant fan base, his career remains largely uncelebrated within WWE's public history. This, Bret believes, is a concession to Martha's wishes to disassociate from WWE, further complicated by the manner of Owen's death, which WWE likely avoids preventing backlash. Owen's legacy, as seen through Bret's eyes, is locked away, both metaphorically by WWE and emotionally by the family's tragedy. Bret's grief is compounded by the industry's seeming reluctance to honour Owen fully, not just as a wrestler who tragically died, but as a performer who lived vibrantly through his art. Bret's ongoing struggle to reconcile with WWE and find peace with how Owen is remembered speaks to the broader challenges of handling personal loss within public arenas. The narrative of Owen Hart, as experienced by Bret, is one marked by unresolved grief, conflicted relationships, and a continuous fight for rightful recognition. This saga underscores the complex interplay between personal tragedy and professional legacy, a dynamic that Bret Hart continues to navigate as he champions for his brother's memory to be celebrated, not just preserved.
Owen, everybody knew his personality, and everybody absolutely knew the practical joker side, if you will, and then his in-ring talent is, he was fantastic.
So we have spoken on the legacy that Owen has left after his death, but what of the legacy which he created during his lifetime? It would seem inappropriate to pay homage to a man who gave his life to entertain us, without discovering what it was that made Owen Hart so special as a character and athlete between the ropes of the squared circle. Owen Hart's career in professional wrestling is a rich tapestry of technical prowess, memorable feuds, and championship accolades. His journey through the wrestling world reflects his evolution from a promising young talent to a celebrated wrestler, admired for his in-ring skill and sportsmanship. Hart was trained in the legendary Hart Dungeon by his father, Stu Hart, a rigorous training facility known for producing some of the toughest and most technically skilled wrestlers. This early training laid the foundation for Owen's style, characterized by its technical finesse and precision. Owen made his professional wrestling debut in 1983, honing his skills in his father's promotion, Stampede Wrestling, where he quickly became a standout performer. Owen's early career saw him wrestling not only in Canada, but also in several international promotions, which helped broaden his in-ring style and exposure. He spent significant time in Japan, wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling, where he participated in the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, a pivotal experience that introduced him to a more global audience and allowed him to refine his high-flying and technical wrestling capabilities. Owen joined the World Wrestling Federation in the late 1980s. His early years in the WWF were marked by his participation in tag teams and lower card matches. However, his talent was undeniable, leading to his first major storyline involving a feud with his brother, Bret Hart. Owen further antagonized Bret by stealing his classic glasses and jacket, and even adopted Bret's famous sharpshooter as his finisher. Bret and Owen even started to team up again after their parents begged them to make peace, and they fought in a selection of good tag team matches together. At the 1994 Royal Rumble, they faced the Quebecers over the tag team championship. During the match, Bret sustained a serious knee injury, so the referee stopped the bout. Owen attacked Bret's knee after the match and truly started the peak of their rivalry when he blamed his brother for their failed chance at the tag team championships. It was the start of Owen's heel turn, and it led to massive boos for the wrestler. Regardless, the crowd let their feelings be known, and it was clear that the majority was behind Bret the Hitman Hart, cheering him on against his brother towards WrestleMania 10. He started the night with an incredible match in which he lost to Owen. The brothers put on an unexpectedly awesome bout, dripping in technical quality, with Owen famously wrestling a completely different style, clarifying his position as the bad guy in the story. From high-flying excitement, Owen adopted a more clinical and methodical approach to taking down his brother, showing his hatred and determination to cause Bret as much physical pain as possible. Anything he could do to stop Bret's rise to the main event later in the evening. Owen did lay it all on the line by the finishing bell, which included a jumping tombstone pole driver. Owen won the opening match, sitting out on a victory roll by Bret from the top rope. For the first time in his wrestling history, Bret Hart's focus wasn't laser-beamed onto the WWF title, his vision blurred by his newfound rivalry with his younger, dastardly brother. This led to August and SummerSlam, where the two battled in one of the most vicious match types ever put into action. Bret beat Owen in a steel cage, which was a mix of hate-fueled aggression and sublime grappling technique between two athletes who have spent their entire lives building to this moment, fighting each other from children through adolescence and into adulthood hundreds of times. The moves flow as seamlessly as a world-class ballet. The punches are crisp and effective at getting across the emotion from Owen. After the match, Anvil and Owen would lock themselves inside the cage with Bret, doing significant damage before other members of the family could run them off. Surprisingly, it would take nearly 5 months for the pair to face off for the title. Bret would instead focus on the rising Diesel, while Owen would plot his own path to becoming the King of Hearts, defeating Razor Ramon to win the 1994 King of the Ring. Owen would also play his part in the finish of the title match, as he and his new partner in crime, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, would cause a DQ when Diesel appeared to have the match and the title won. Owen didn't just want to win the WWF belt, he wanted to beat his brother in the process. Throughout the 1990s, Owen Hart's career in WWE flourished. He captured multiple championships, including the Intercontinental Championship, the European Championship, and several tag team titles with various partners. Each title reign showcased his versatility and ability to adapt to different partners and wrestling styles. Owen was known for his high-risk, high-reward style in the ring, which was punctuated by his use of the sharpshooter, a nod to the Hart family's signature submission move. His matches were often highlighted by his agility and technical skill, making him a favourite among wrestling purists. Owen Hart's legacy in professional wrestling is defined by his technical skill, in-ring psychology, and the respect he earned from his peers. His career is often cited as a prime example of how a wrestler can be immensely successful and respected without necessarily being the top star in the promotion. Owen's contributions to the wrestling industry were significant, influencing many wrestlers who came after him and leaving a lasting impact on the sport. In examining Owen Hart's professional wrestling career, one sees a journey of continual growth and adaptation underscored by a profound dedication to the craft of wrestling. His matches remain study materials for aspiring wrestlers, and his career is a testament to the enduring appeal of technical wrestling in a sport often dominated by larger-than-life personalities. In the modern day, Owen's legacy lives on in numerous forms, with WWF wrestler Kevin Owens not only styling his name as a homage to one of his idols, but also naming his first son Owen as a reference. I don't know what's going through my mind. I don't have any specific rituals. The only thing I'll do every single time. I don't have many particular beliefs, but I do believe in people who we've lost. I'll speak to Owen Hart. He was a big influence on me as a young wrestler, and when he passed, I felt a great sense of loss. Ever since then, I just talk to Owen Hart before every match, and I ask him to be with me and make sure I don't get hurt, said Kevin Owens. And, of course, the long-running and controversial debate of whether Owen Hart should be inducted into the prestigious WWE Hall of Fame. With so many dark clouds hanging over the memory of Owen, you can perhaps understand to an extent why WWE would be hesitant to sift through those times again in such a public manner. Regardless of the way that he died or who is at fault, in my opinion, it is a disgrace to not have an icon such as Owen Hart, a man who literally spent his life entertaining and amazing us fans, feature in the WWE Hall of Fame. He deserves better. In researching for this video, I found it hard to dig up any dirt on Owen Hart. I couldn't find a story that besmirched his character or a video of him saying or doing anything regrettable. In the autobiography Heartbreak and Triumph, Shawn Michaels wrote, "Owen is the only guy you could have a 2-hour show for. and no one would say a bad word about him. At the time, Owen Hart's death led me to contemplate my own existence in a small way, which at that point I didn't begin to comprehend. It also led me on a path that I'm on today, so although for many a light was dimmed following the horrendous death of Owen Hart, it ignited in me a passion to learn about the history of pro wrestling and pay much-deserved tributes to industry icons such as Owen Hart, who have given their lives to perform and entertain us fans. In conclusion, the legacy of Owen Hart transcends the bounds of the wrestling ring, touching lives and influencing careers long after his tragic departure. Owen's untimely death is a stark reminder of the perils faced by those who entertain us, pushing the limits of spectacle in the squared circle. It is a sobering thought that his demise, while deeply mourned, also served as a catalyst for positive change and reflection within the community and among fans. As we look back on Owen Hart's career, it becomes apparent that his reputation was impeccable, a rare find in the world of professional wrestling. Shawn Michaels, in his autobiography Heartbreak and Triumph, attests to Owen's unblemished character, suggesting that even a prolonged tribute would yield no disparagement, but rather an outpouring of respect and admiration. This speaks volumes about the man Owen was, not just a performer, but a genuine, respected individual whose integrity and kindness were as clear as his talent in the ring. Owen Hart's passing did more than evoke sorrow. It sparked a journey of discovery and homage for many, including myself. It led me to delve into the rich history of wrestling, a path lined with stories of dedication, sacrifice, and passion. Owen's story is a poignant chapter in this narrative, a reminder of both the human cost of entertainment and the deep connections formed between performers and their audience. As fans and members of the wrestling community, we carry forward the memory of Owen Hart, not only by recounting his matches, but by honouring his spirit, a spirit that inspires kindness, dedication, and an enduring love for wrestling. Owen may no longer be with us, but his legacy is undiminished. A beacon for those who follow in his footsteps, and a reminder of the profound impact one individual can have on the lives of many.